Hey guys, Keely, Jera and myself have done our group project on social ecological approach. A brief summary of what we'll be talking about. The social ecological approach is largely based on Bronfenbrenner's model. There are many roles through which a case manager can practice. A case manager looks at the influences from each sector of an individual's environment. This helps them work out a suitable plan.
Pardek came up with some specific factors that encompass what the social ecological process is. The first factor is that the person is seen as being influenced by multiple and interacting factors. The second is that emphasis is placed on growth and development, as well as the attainment of goals. The third is that a health orientation is stressed that focuses on the whole person, not just on individual pathology. This means that a worker has to take into consideration a person's history, culture, community, and family context, rather than just their ways of thinking or their mental state. This shows that people's needs are very complex and may require complex intervention methods. Goal setting and reaching are also critical. The practitioner has many roles that they may fill, and they can use as many or as few as the case requires. Some of these roles are caring and counselling roles, but some require the worker to hold a lot of responsibility for the community. For example, the advocate. This shows that the approach covers a broad scope in terms of who it can help and how it can help. Pardek labels these roles as such. The first is the conferee, which is derived from the idea of conference. The practitioner takes direct action in helping clients solve problems. The second is the enabler, which is when the practitioner structures, arranges, and changes events, interactions, and environmental factors to facilitate and enhance system functioning. The third role is a broker, a traditional social work role in which the practitioner links the client with social supports and services. The fourth is the mediator, who tries to reconcile opposing points of view and bring the contestants together in united action. The fifth is the advocate, who secures services or resources in situations where they are inadequate or non-existent. And the sixth is the guardian, where the social worker acts to protect clients who are not capable of protecting themselves. Brower discusses the irregular and disproportionate quality of support this creates across different organisations using the social ecological approach, as it requires the worker to have their own methods which might not actually work out for every individual case. The niches or subculture groups in which an individual feels their sense of belonging are said to be fluid and changing according to the external factors in the exosystem of the ecological model. This includes labels given by social media, which, as Brower suggests, can be actually reclaimed by the subculture group. This is a main point for Brower's argument that it's inefficient, as he can't accept the environment as a source for an individual's problems because it's so resilient and adjusting. A critique of the social ecological approach is that it doesn't give a lot of insight as to how much power an individual holds over their environment or how they can change it themselves, thus giving human services practitioners too much responsibility in filling in the blanks that the approach creates.
Tita writes that the ecological perspective was derived from the biological science of ecology, whereby all living organisms are observed in their context of their physical and social environments. Tita describes social work as being a profession that is built upon the knowledge that communities, groups, families, and individuals alike are all the products of the interrelationship between their environments. Individuals do not operate in isolation but are influenced by their physical and social environments in which they live and interact. To apply an ecological perspective when working with humans in the field of social work, the worker must first realise the interactions between the client and their social physical, and cultural environments that influence and shape their outcomes. Taking an ecological perspective towards social work practice involves taking into consideration a person and the environment around her or him, and is referred to as the person and environment concept. The ecological perspective uses a specific vocabulary in relation to social work with terms such as adaptiveness, stress, and person-environment fit. It assumes that individuals focus on maintaining a good level of fit between themselves and their environment as they move through the life course. Adaptiveness refers to positive and healthy fit between the person and his or her environment. When an individual feels that their environment is not providing the necessary resources to sustain their needs, either because they are unavailable to them or not accessible to them or just don't exist, this causes the individual to experience stress and results in poor adaptive fit outcomes. This is when individuals look to social workers for assistance. The social worker is tasked with collaborating with the individual to improve the level of person-environment fit, which might involve changing the individual's perceptions and behaviours, changing the response from the environment, or trying to improve the quality of exchange between the individual and his or her environment. When a social worker implements the ecology perspective into practice, they may use a life model approach which aims to improve the level of fit between individuals and their environment.
Two sociologists, Golden Earp, in 2012, created a coding system. This coding system applied 2 decades of health research findings, examining the extent of who used, how effective, and when the social ecological model was most effective. Interpersonal being the highest, with 95% of cases describing its use. Intrapersonal being the second highest, with 65% of cases using the sociological ecological model. Institutional was less, with 40% of cases describing its use. Community was fourth, with 20% describing its use. And finally, policy was last, with only around 5% of cases mentioning the use of the social ecological system. However, Golden Earp point out that even though these cases were mentioned within each of the studies, the data collected describes that not all of the cases were truly effective or reached their target goal. To compensate for this, Golden Earp explained that multi-level intervention practice should be incorporated as to allow for the model to work across large scale of sectors. And finally, in conclusion, all academics agree that the social ecological theory is based on the interactions between the individual and their social, cultural, and physical environment. They also agree that the ecological perspective is tied deeply with social policy. People's problems can be complex and may require complex solutions. In doing so, the caseworker must take into consideration a person's history, culture, and community surroundings. The social ecological theory provides a holistic approach to assessments that pave the way for successful implementation of plans. When the ecological approach is implemented in casework, the person-environment fit is crucial. The environment must suit the individual's needs, including social resources. However, the person-environment fit can become imbalanced, causing stress. Caseworkers aim to reconcile the person-environment fit and restore balance.